top 10 NFL teams, everybody. Welcome back to a younger view in sports. And these are my top 10 NFL teams for week 7. Let's kick things off. Number 10, Buffalo Bills. I don't know what's been happening with Buffalo lately. I just know it hasn't been good. Blown out by Tennessee. Lost to Kansas City. And now you got the Jets. This is like, this prove yourself game. This is the time Josh Allen's going to ball out. I'm going to win my fantasy week. You know, it's going to be ball out. It's time for the Bills to prove, hey, these two are just fluke weeks. We're getting there. And you beat the Jets by 8 points, 10-18. You didn't score a single touchdown. You held New York to about 4 total yards in the second half, which is impressive, and the only reason why you're still in the top 10. But then again, it's New York. You should have held them to about 100 yards the entire game. Realistically, I mean, maybe not realistically, but still, it was not good. That was really not a good performance by anybody on that Buffalo Bills team. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo right now, but they're dropped to 10 for right now because, they've not been playing good football lately. Played 2 good teams, blown out. Played the Jets, barely beat. I guess a division rival, but you should be blowing out the Jets weekly. Like, you should blow out the Jets those 2 times you face them. They're going 0-16 this year. Like, whatever. Buffalo's at 10. For right now, they could drop even lower if they keep playing like this because they faced 2 good teams and they lost. And then they faced the Jets and they lost by 8. I don't know. On a steep, steady decline. It's what it looks like in Buffalo. Number 9 is a new addition, is the Arizona Cardinals beating the Seattle Seahawks in overtime. And we'll get to the Seahawks in a minute, but Arizona is a very fun team right now. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, they're doing good. Isaiah Simmons, the guy, my draft crush in this year's draft. He was my personal favorite player in the draft. I don't think he was the best player in the draft, but he was my personal favorite player. He can do it all. Got the game-winning interception against Russell Wilson, who threw his 3rd pick that night, setting up the game-winning drive for the Arizona Cardinals to win it. They should have won it in regulation, but he misses the field goal. Oof. That was a wild game. Arizona and Seattle was a fun game to watch. Arizona looks fun. They've been inconsistent in the past, but if they can keep this up, I feel like they can keep rising. Maybe a shot in the playoffs. Because DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray seem to be on the same page. They can get the run game a little bit going with Chase Edmonds, who's been doing pretty good over these past few weeks. But they can keep him more consistent. And that defense needs to step up a little bit, but they did step up getting those 3 interceptions. Doing very well. Number 9 is where the Cardinals find themselves on the top 10 list. Next, number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. They just knocked the Chicago Bears out of first place in the NFC North. Now the Packers lead the North. And that just proved what we thought about the Bears. Their offense stinks. Their defense is very good. And that's what LA should be. The Rams defense was playing great against the Chicago Bears. The offense was doing a lot. You know, they held the Bears to 0 offensive touchdowns, made a couple of offensive mistakes to keep the Bears right in that game, minimize mistakes. They have a good football team. This is a team that is good, not great at the moment. We don't know because they keep letting these teams in these games. The New York Giants in that game. Chicago Bears in that game. Just in these games. Can they go up against some of these tough opponents and actually win? Their best win right now is against the Chicago Bears. Because after that, all their wins came against the NFC least. Yes, they beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys, which they probably shouldn't have beat. It was a terrible pass interference call on Michael Gallup. They beat the football team, and then they beat the Giants. So they're good. Are they special? I don't know. Number 7 is the Seattle Seahawks, a team too dependent on Russell Wilson. But breaking news, as I'm getting ready to record this video comes out, they have traded for Carlos Dunlap. So at least they're trying to get him help. Let's hope the Green Bay Packers can follow that and get Aaron Rodgers some more help. But either way, it was a fun game. Russell Wilson throwing 3 interceptions, though. That is not good. They would have won that game too, but a holding call on Moore to seal DK Metcalf's game-winning touchdown run. But that didn't happen, so this team is messing up. When Russell Wilson's making mistakes, that team is making mistakes. Russell Wilson doesn't throw those 3 picks. This game is a blowout. And this game felt like Seattle was blowing Arizona out, but yet Arizona was still somehow in that game. Arizona and Green Bay are too much alike. Not Arizona. Seattle and Green Bay, excuse me, are too much alike. They're too dependent on Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Those two are having a bad day. We saw what happened when Aaron Rodgers was having a bad day. He got blown out by Tampa. Seattle and Russell Wilson is having a bad day. 3 interceptions, they lose that game. These only 2 losses are when their quarterbacks haven't played great. Russell Wilson needs a run game, and he needs a defense. And they've gotten pass rush and Carlos Dunlap. We'll see how much that affects them. But up until this point, Jamal Adams led the team in sacks with 2. They have 0 pass rush. They're giving every quarterback they face too much time. They made Cam Newton, the Patriots, who are not looking that great right now. He made Cam Newton look like an all-star, a Pro Bowl quarterback. He looked like an all-pro quarterback. So they're trying to fix the defense a little bit, but if they can't, they will remain at 7, and they have a great offense, terrible defense. We know how their season ends. Number 6 is the Tennessee Titans. Now, I went back and forth on the Titans. I didn't know where to put them exactly, because if Steven Gostkowski makes that field goal, we're going into overtime against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's what I mean. Steelers were dominating that game. They let Tennessee right back in it. Tennessee kept going back in it. Titans wanted that game, and they couldn't get it. I was like, well, they make that field goal. We know you got to have special teams. And special teams right now is an issue for the Tennessee Titans. They're not winning that game. They shouldn't have been in that game, but they somehow felt that. And that defense, man, defense is a problem. They kept Chase Claypool out of the game, but Juju Smith-Schuster right there. So the Steelers have weapons. They've always had weapons. All I'm saying is, Tennessee, you got to fix your special teams and maybe get that defense ramped up a little bit. I still think Tennessee is a good football team. They just lost to Pittsburgh off of an unlucky play. And, you hate to lose a game that way, but you got to get special teams right or you're not going to win. That's why I dropped them back a little bit. Either way, still a good game. It was still a very fun game to watch. They are still a good football team. But coming in at number 5 in the top 5 is the Green Bay Packers. That's right. And, we bounced back in a huge way. Devontae Adams, just 196 yards, 3 touchdown passes. You can't cover that guy when he is fully healthy. Aaron Rodgers and him, special connection. And I didn't expect this game to be offensive as much. Aaron Jones was out, Bakhtiari out, going up against J.J. Watt. You're thinking, that could be a problem. But no, we bounced back. And I don't care if it was against a pretty bad Houston team. This would have been any of these teams on the top 10. We still have a game like that. I'm that confident Aaron Rodgers is going to have a bounce back week. Great game. Just imagine once Bakhtiari gets back, because the offensive line held up quite nicely against that Houston pass rush and J.J. Watt. And then they held up, and then the offense did go without Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams picked up the slack quite well, also getting the rookie A.J. Dillon involved. So I still think this team is good. I don't think they did match up well with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great game. Great bounce back win for the Green Bay Packers. Number 4, Baltimore Ravens. They're on a bye, but they are still on a good football team. They do have the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up, and that will be a very, very good matchup. These two may just switch These two may switch places, if they win or lose. But still a good football team. They got Des Bryant and Yannick Ngakoue. So they're making moves. They want the Super Bowl now. Lamar Jackson seems to want the Super Bowl now. He is 0-2 in the playoffs, though. So we got to keep that in mind of his playoff record. These two could if it's a field goal game, these two could just swatch spots with everyone winning. Pittsburgh wins and they blow them out, they could jump to number 1. Baltimore wins and blows them out, they could jump to number 1. So, speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming in at number 3 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, again, they won that game off an unlucky field goal from Steven Gostkowski. But they should not have let Tennessee back in that game. Tennessee has come back into this game. It's the same thing. Pittsburgh is blowing teams out, and then they're coming back into this game. They cannot finish games strong. They take the foot off the gas pedal, and they let teams right back in it. Big Ben was making some questionable throwing decisions. You got to take a check down there at the end of the game. If you watch it, towards the end of the game, when Tennessee led that drive to go kick the game-winning field goal, he threw that. There was an easy check down, probably would have got him a first down, could run up that clock, but Big Ben is just not making smart decisions with the football right now. Big Ben is holding this team back, I feel. And sure, he is the best option, but he throws that ball coverage. That ball's picked. His third interception of the day. That's the reason they were in that game, is Tennessee's defense was forcing turnovers on 3 picks. So if Big Ben can figure that out, he's been in the league forever now. He's been in the league as long as I've been watching football. He hasn't been playing great, but that defense and the rest of the team, like Chase Claypool, is picking up his slack, and they're keeping him at number 3 steady. Number 2 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they could have very easily jumped up to number 1. Gronkowski is looking good. Brady's finally connecting. Devin White is a freak on the defense. Everything is connecting. They blew out the Oakland Raiders, who I think can be a sneaky wild card team. Don't count the Las Vegas Raiders just yet. It's weird. It's still weird to say Las Vegas. Don't count them out yet just yet. They could have won. It was 24-20, and then it was 45-20. But Tampa Bay pulled back in a big way. They showed them that they are still a dominant team. They dominated Green Bay. They've dominated Oakland. They've dominated almost everybody. We didn't want to face this team later in the year. It's later in the year. We need to stop saying that, because Tampa Bay is now a good football team. And they would have been number 1 if this team, the Kansas City Chiefs, didn't go out and say, hey, Baltimore, or hey, Denver, you suck. You're garbage. Tua. That's what they did to Denver. They completely blew him out. And Patrick Mahomes didn't even have that great of a day. He had a touchdown pass, like 200 yards. Defense had a pick 6. Special teams on fire. Now that everything is clicking for Kansas City, nobody's going to stop them. They stomped on Denver. Special teams is cooking. Defense is cooking. If everything is cooking for Kansas City, who's going to stop them? They will remain at number 1. Everything is good. They're not relying on Patrick Mahomes to make great plays, and when he does, he does. All is good and well in Kansas City. They will remain at number 1 if they keep playing like that, because right now, they're Super Bowl champions. That team, everything is firing on. So Kansas City is better when the defense is better. Kansas City is better when it's not just the offense. Kansas City is better when special teams is better. Every team is better when those 2 things are happening, and everything is clicking right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. There's the top 10. Number 10, Buffalo Bills. 9, Arizona Cardinals. 8, Los Angeles Rams. 6, Seattle Seahawks. 5, Tennessee Titans. 4, Green Bay Packers. 3, Baltimore Ravens. 4, Baltimore Ravens. 3, Pittsburgh Steelers. 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you for listening.